GM Musta Freeman. Are you with
Yes,
the?
man.
Hey, are you
Man,
with
how
the
are you?
best day ever?
How
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. What about you, man?
Best day ever. Are you with the Agave community?
Yep, I just joined. I'm from Sierra Leone, West Africa.
Very cool.
Yep.
Are you going to be participating in the AMA today as like a host?
Come again?
Are you planning to like be one of the main hosts of this AMA?
Yeah, I think it would be nice because I think you guys never heard about boys from West Africa, especially Sierra Leone.
Yeah, that's true. So we're supposed to be meeting with Stunky, who I don't yet see in the audience. Oh, here's Stunky. Stunky, I'm going to pull you up on stage. Where did
Okay.
Lo-Fi go? Can you bring Lo-Fi back?
Hey guys. Good
Hey,
afternoon.
Stunky.
Hey, Stunky.
How's everyone doing?
Best day ever. How are you doing?
All good, all good. Looking forward to this.
Me too. So Stunky, I know you had said you were going to be repping for Agave, but are you going to be co-repping with Musta? Is that the plan?
Actually, I don't know who Musta is.
Okay, Musta, I'm going to bring you back down to the audience, and then feel free to raise your hand if you have a question.
Okay, Stunky, this is Musta Freeman. I'm from Sierra Leone, West Africa, into cryptocurrency and also into a charity project where I'm using cryptocurrency to save my community.
Well, we're glad to have you here, Musta Freeman, and please, if you have any questions, bring them up on the stage. But today, we're here to talk with Stunky and learn about Agave Finance. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Stunky. How are you doing, dude?
Good. Very happy to be here, and hopefully I can do a good job to present Agave to your beautiful community.
Yeah, we're excited to learn more about Agave. And I know we've got some Agave community members here who are interested in learning more about ShapeShift. So this is going to be kind of like a cross AMA. And I'm going to ask Stunky some questions about Agave. Stunky is going to ask me some questions about ShapeShift. And we're going to have a good GM all around. So yeah, why don't we start off with... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, in case people have questions, is there a chat where where we can read them? Where people usually write questions, probably in this channel, DAO stage.
Yes, exactly. Thanks for asking.
Okay. Thanks, Chunky.
Yeah, if anyone's got any questions throughout this, please post them in ShapeShift DAO stage. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Or raise your hand, and we can bring you up to ask it live. Awesome. Well, let's dive right into it. Stunky, can you start us off with the introduction and tell us a little bit about your background?
Yes. So I'm Stunky, and I'm a community member of Agave and also of One Hive. And Agave is a project that was born from actually members of One Hive. And I was not one of the seed, and we generally call seeds the initial members that create the project and the whole idea behind Agave, which essentially is a fork of Aave on XDAI, and then eventually became Gnosis Chain. I'm actually just a community member, and then when the token was launched back in March, there was need of more contributor, and Agave is a DAO, and one of the things, the most fascinating things about Agave and also One Hive actually is that every community member can become, let's say, a pretty important part of the whole ecosystem. So I have no dev skills, so I'm not a developer, and I had no big backgrounds in crypto projects before, but then I just started helping and starting to write weekly recaps to keep updated the community about what was going on. I started to manage the social media accounts. I started to take care a bit of the finances, and by that I mostly mean being a DAO, we have many contributors that get regularly paid for whatever they do, whether it's a banner, is an article, anything that we can use. Basically, every contributor gets paid. That's being handled by me usually every Monday. So I do kind of keep an eye on the finances. If there is needing for more funding from the from the common pool, we make a funding request. So I'm a bit on that bureaucratic side, and also a bit of talking between developers and community when there are issues. Some people maybe contact me, and I don't have the dev skill to fix it, but maybe I can be a kind of liaison between community and developers, probably also because of my kind of non-tech background. And I've been working on, let's say, marketing side, helping Monstrosity, which also organized this AMA, but he could not be here today, mostly for what concerns, as I said, preparing material for AMAs or banners, Twitters, articles. We have a whole series about educational series called How to Agave to help people learning about DeFi and all stuff like that. So you don't get from me the perspective of the developer, but one of the enthusiastic community member that then became part of the team on a certain level.
That is so cool. Really excited to learn more about how your DAO works and how you guys are paying everybody. Those are definitely things we're interested in learning about. And yeah, shout out to Monstrosity. It's unfortunate he couldn't make it today, but he's been an awesome kind of cross-community member. He's part of so many cool communities and has helped bring us closer to the One Hive community, and now helping us get to know the Agave community better. Thanks, Donkey. And yeah, I'll give a quick intro for any of the Agave community members that haven't met me yet. My name is Willie. I'm also just a community member over here at ShapeShift DAO, aren't we all? But I do have a formal role with the Fox Foundation, which is this new foundation we're in the process of setting up right now. It's a not-for-profit Liechtensteinian foundation created to support the DAO in achieving its mission of full decentralization. So working with a great team over there to kind of help support the DAO as it progressively decentralizes, while also maintaining the legacy ShapeShift infrastructure, the servers that powered beta.shapeshift.com and the mobile app, with the goal of sunsetting those and replacing them with decentralized alternatives. So the foundation is kind of the steward of those legacy apps that and servers that require bank accounts and entities and stuff. Yeah, and big fan of Agave, of kind of the whole One Hive community and Gnosis chain. And yeah, why don't we talk about this recent Gnosis chain merger? Because I bet you guys have a really great take on this. First of all, why do you think Agave launched on XDAI initially?
Well, thanks for the question. Actually, there's a very good one. Actually, we did launch on XDAI, so let's say on Gnosis chain, because that's where actually One Hive was. So most of the members at first were on both. Actually, they are still part of both communities, and since the very beginning, we really looked the seeds of One Hive, and also I'm not one of the seeds of One Hive, but they were looking for a way to make a very democratic a community that has possibility to vote on proposal without having to really spend money for transactions. So we have a Gardens that is a very complex way, but actually very brilliant way to create proposals and have community support and common pool and using fundings from the common pool. And basically we've been on XDAI and so Gnosis chain the whole time. When I've actually expanded to Polygon in I bet it was July 2021, but still most of the community has been using XDAI through the whole time. I myself actually have not used One Hive's product on Polygon that much. When Agave was deployed, eventually we did consider, actually we even had an AMA about the fact that we would be launching on Arbitrum, and we also had a partnership with DXDAO. So we were going to bring liquidity on Swapper, which is both on Gnosis chain and also on Arbitrum, but then eventually we are actually back on Gnosis chain. First of all, because of the merge, I can say a bit more about that, but also because Arbitrum still does not have kind of transaction fees that we want, because hopefully having many proposals and community members asking for fundings for cross projects that can be beneficial for Agave, we don't really like the idea that people can vote but spend quite some money on that. So that actually never really took place, and so we're actually focusing on Gnosis chain. When actually the merge happened, we were very surprised. So at first, it has been kind
The
of
merger
complicated for us.
between
Yeah,
XDAI and Gnosis. Yeah.
yes, sorry, yeah. That's been kind of complicated for us because in that moment, actually, that was the first month of our liquidity incentives on the platform. I don't know if people are familiar, but we have a dual reward program. So depositors and people that borrow money on the Agave platform are receiving a CPT token, a sample token, which is both in this moment is both Gnosis and Agave. Back then was Stake and Agave. But we also have incentives based on Carrot KPI token. So basically, that means that we can set every month a certain threshold of how we want to pay rewards. So we really based our rewards on TVL growth, both on Agave and Stake. So when the merge happened, we were really surprised because we worked a few months on these proposals. So eventually, that was kind of bad for us because the Stake token could not raise in price, and the market was actually rebounding in that precise moment. But actually, after the first month, eventually, we are actually extremely happy about the merge because the Gnosis team is very active. We are talking to them almost on a daily basis about bringing new possibilities to Agave. We are talking about the rewards. Now, the GPT token is indeed with Gnosis, so we have dual rewards. So whoever uses Agave, in spite of the token that is deposited on the platform, you are receiving 3 layers of rewards. The first layer is this CPT token, so which is a liquidity provider token, LP token, which is actually on a symmetric pool. So we also partnered with Symmetric, of course, on Gnosis. So in the moment that you claim rewards, you are starting to earn the CPT token is also rewarding you with SIM token every week on this pool that is Gnosis and Agave. And on top of that, there is a third layer of reward because Symmetric also has incentives with Gnosis. So users are actually receiving extra Symmetric and extra Gnosis rewards on top of that I dropped on the wallet directly without any action needed once a week. That's on a random basis. That's actually manually done by Symmetric's team, and eventually this will be automated. It's actually
Nice.
a bit of a complex way to create rewards, but actually it's been working very, very well for us. So we're actually happy of how it's going on so far.
Yeah, you had me at triple rewards. Looking forward to checking this out. And I Prax Professor raised his hand, so I wanted to bring them up to hear their question. But before we do that, one more question. And it's really great to hear your take on Gnosis Chain. I do want to dive back into that in a bit. But I know that there's I think a proposal in motion for getting Fox added to Agave. When that happens, will that mean that Fox will also get triple rewards?
All right, so the proposal is still not up, but I mean that we were waiting for this AMA to be. I mean, we were planning actually on having the votes starting as whether in the weekend or early next week, and definitely this is something that we will discuss because also of the with all the developers. So I don't want to say something that I cannot back 100%, but basically as of now, any token that is whether it's USDC or Gnosis, there is an incentive to deposit and to borrow. Now, what I cannot say is the how much, if and how much there will be an incentive out of it because that can be decided on a monthly basis. So our rewards are not set to be the same for let's say 6 months or 12 months, but on every month we can renegotiate. There is a reason for this, just briefly. It's just that market condition in this cryptosphere are changing very quickly. So we learn it the hard way with the stake Gnosis merge. So we do have a monthly, let's say, consideration about rewards. Once we find something that works well for the community, we're happy, but we also want to hear the take of the community. So our hope is actually to have the community proposing to have, let's say, a first month, I'm just giving my opinion here. Okay, so nothing. What I'm saying is set in stone. Let's say there is a higher reward on Fox as a collateral because we want to bootstrap liquidity on the platform, okay? And then maybe after 1 month, this is going to be a bit less. Or maybe for the first month, there is no real incentive or it's very small. And then if we see that there is interest, we can raise the incentive. So we actually want the community to really be deciding what has to happen, and as well as if any Fox member of the community is holding Agave, you will be able to vote for having Fox added. Okay, so that's also what we are actually aiming for, having communities that do want their token to be listed on our platform, so that we create more partnerships.
Very cool. Thanks for explaining that, Stonky. Prax Professor, thank you for your patience. Do you have a question?
Yeah, so I mean, that was the beauty of XDAI, that you could bridge over. I mean, it's going to take a lot of extra time to take advantage of everything that Ethereum offered in that state. There a proposal that have to be put in. I got on Aave, XDAI, and I was watching the progress, and I was completely thrown out of the loop. And analysis took over. Do I have to do anything? Is the first question. The second question is, if you've been watching Aave on the Ethereum chain, I'm looking at one of my other projects that seemingly can generate a lot of funds. The Ampleforth protocol and Ample, it in its low liquidity, it's able to generate more funds than billions of dollars of USDC on Aave. I think that it being a DAO that has a governance token called Forth, it should also, I believe, ShapeShift should talk to them. They should, bring them in for an AMA as well. And I'd also like to ask ShapeShift a question about the fact that my Keep key cannot integrate with dApps. And it also, I'm having a problem with the login from the mobile app because of some issue that they had with the legacy sign-in that they had, where I'm not even able to be on the mobile app because the Google authentication that I used somehow got switched around. So those are my issues at this point in time.
All right, Prax Professor. Normally we don't take support requests during these AMA calls, but we'll make an exception. For your first question, do you have to do anything following this XDAI Gnosis merger? You do not. All you have to do is know that now when you see Gnosis chain, it's talking about XDAI chain. But yeah, there's no user impact or anything that you have to do. Hopefully, like Stanky was saying, this merger will be really good for the whole XDAI/Gnosis chain ecosystem. But definitely going to be a little tricky as they try to like rebrand and change everybody's the terminology that they have in their minds. So second question is, you want us to get Ampleforth on a AMA? Is that what I heard? Or was it Aave? Or both? I think we'd like to talk to both of them. Ampleforth, if you guys don't know, it's an algorithmic stable coin that uses rebasing to attempt to keep its peg so it doesn't have to be backed by a bunch of collateral. It's a pretty interesting project, but so far has not done a very good job of keeping its peg, I will say. Your last question, the reason that you can't log into the mobile app with your Google login is that when you sign up or log into the mobile app, you use an email and password, and that email and password encrypts your seed phrase locally, and then that encrypted seed phrase gets stored on servers, and then because of that, you're able to access your seed phrase and decrypt it anywhere as long as you have your email password. The reason that won't work with Google authentication is then Google would basically have your keys, so it's not secure. And unfortunately, we built that email password stuff after we'd already had Google login supported for a while, And unfortunately, yeah, if you currently have a Google login, you'll either have to create a new account, or I think support, if you reach out to them, they might be able to help you out and reset your login so you can still use the same email, but then log in with email and password as opposed to Google Auth. All right. Thanks, Prax Professor. If you have any other questions about the Agave or Shapeshift, let us know.
I would also like to say, I don't know, also, I was not hearing perfectly, but Ample on like other rebase tokens, it might struggle a bit when they're not, when they're out of mainnet. So I feel we had this question actually asked a few times on our Telegram, I remember, and I'm not going to go deep in the technicality, but rebase tokens, they might be a bit tough. Yeah, I see also Murti is writing in the stage, right? There is the rebase mechanism and stuff. It's not really something that is yet on Gnosis. So definitely an interesting project, but in this moment it's still not in our something that is going to happen anytime soon at least.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we're actually working on a rebasing token ourselves right now, Foxy, that will enable users to stake Fox, and then the DAO can take Fox from a variety of revenue streams, deposit it to reward Fox stakers. And furthermore, are you familiar with Agave or with Tokamak, Stunky?
I have heard of it. I have not dig enough to say I'm very aware of what's about it.
It's a pretty cool new protocol. One of these DeFi 2.0, liquidity mining 2.0 protocols. Definitely recommend checking it out. But ShapeShift has a Fox reactor right now, and you can deposit Fox and get like 28% yield. I think it was last time I checked. So the cool thing about this, what makes Foxy unique, is that the idle Fox that's staked into the Foxy contract will actually be deposited into the Tokamak reactor to generate yield. So it will give us like a baseline yield even before the DAO takes extra revenue that's earning and deposits into the contract. Plus, right, the Fox won't be sitting idly in the Tokamak reactor either. It can then be deployed from the Tokamak reactor to provide liquidity on DEXs. So it's a cool innovation over like the traditional staking contracts. But we'll have to figure out, yeah, it's good to know there's going to be some challenges. There's trade-offs for having Foxy as a rebasing token. The biggest benefit is that your balance just goes up while it's sitting in your wallet. But the biggest downside is that it doesn't play nicely with a lot of DeFi protocols, such as lending protocols like Agave.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, back to the Agave, this Gnosis chain merger. How have things been going since the merger? Have you guys seen like increased traction on Agave, and that you could attribute to this Gnosis chain merger, or maybe do you think it's too soon?
Yeah, there is also a question about the utility of Agave, so I will also chip on that one. So cool. Definitely, we had, as I said, the first month was of our rewards were really based on the growth of Stake and Agave as a token, as a TVL of both projects. So we did struggle a bit in there, and in the second month we also had rewards based on this KPI token, and since that's it was kind of a delicate situation, we and the market kind of went down, we did not reach the threshold to give. It's basically an option token, so you get a reward on a token, then you still don't know what's the value until the end of the month. Okay, so we had to have a certain threshold of TVL. If you reach that threshold, let's say you get 25%. If you reach another threshold, you get 50, then up to a maximum. Because of market condition and because Stake was our biggest collateral on the platform, but Stake was in the process of getting swapped for Gnosis, basically the liquidity shrinked. So instead of growing, we actually went down for a few weeks, and that was eventually clear to us that the KPI token was not going to work in those first months. So we moved back to the CPT token that I mentioned before. I also linked an article, a guide, and a video that explained the whole thing. And what I think is very interesting is that eventually with Gnosis, but also because that was our intention all along, we are starting to add more tokens as a collateral. The first days of January was Link, and the second token was Gnosis, of course. So our TVL actually in January increased by, I think, 300%, something like that. Fox is another token that we are very much interested in adding, and we are going to be interested in adding more tokens. Now, Since this is the question that usually comes, I might already say about that. Why, and that's also connected to the utility token, utility of Agave as a token. First of all, it's a DAO token, so you do need that to vote. So if I want my token to be listed on Agave, I might need to vote with Agave. That's the first thing. It's also a token that basically allows you to be, as I said, having a part on the community. You can stake it, you can earn rewards. We are partnership with Symmetric, with DAO, and eventually it might also be that it will be a collateral on our platform. Now, this is still soon, because if people are familiar with this, to have a token on the platform, we need Chainlink price feed. So Fox has that, and Agave in this moment does not have a Chainlink price feed. That's kind of the reason why Agave is not there yet, and some DAO tokens are pretty hard to have on a because of supply issues, are pretty hard to have on the platform. So basically, Agave is a token that has a very limited supply. We have only 100,000 tokens, and I don't want to say much more about this, but we are also, little spoiler, we are also talking about making our tokenomics even more interesting and appealing. Already in this moment, 10% of this whole supply, but actually much more, because there is a circulating supply of roughly 30,000 Agave. Around 30% of that is already in staking, so there's a lot of locked Agave. You can stake Agave, and so basically in this moment we cannot add it to the platform, but it's a token that allows us also to be interesting for other communities to buy, to have a leverage on the platform on what they also want to have on the Agave platform.
Very cool. Excited to hear kind of the future tokenomics plans you guys come up with. And yeah, it was a challenge for us to get a Chainlink price feed too. I think the straw on the camel's back was when we got listed on Coinbase. That finally gave us enough volume and enough different exchanges that we were listed on to qualify for the Chainlink price feed. So hopefully you guys will get there soon. That will be awesome.
There is actually, and sorry for interrupting, there is also one thing that maybe people can be interested. If we do build a TWAP, which is a way to have another Oracle, we could actually also add tokens that do not meet the requirement for the Chainlink price feed. But in this moment, there was not one of the priorities for us. We really wanted to have tokens that allow us to be very safe. You know, in DeFi, you're never too safe. So Chainlink price feeds are probably give us enough security to be safe with the community. So I think that's pretty important.
Absolutely. Yeah, and to add some context to that. So these lending protocols, they use oracles to figure out what the price of a given asset is. And so oftentimes many of the attacks in the past, you can have very secure smart contract code with no vulnerabilities. But if the oracle can be manipulated using things like flash loans and all sorts of creative types of attacks involving multiple different money Legos, then you can trick the protocol into thinking that the price of an asset is different than the actual price is on the market. And that can cause liquidations, can enable you to buy people's collateral at a discount when you really shouldn't be able to. So I think that makes sense that you guys are, at least in this early stage, just limiting it to protocols with a super secure Chainlink price feed.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask too, so we're talking about Agave tokenomics. I know on Aave, you can stake your Aave tokens, earn yield. And then also what's interesting is that all of the staked Aave kind of acts as a emergency backstop in the event that the protocol does become under collateralized. Do you guys have a similar contract for Agave? Uh-oh, I'm up here by myself. Stonk, I'm going to invite you back up. I see you're in the audience. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. And I wanted to ask too, not only when you stake your Agave, is it used as this kind of emergency reserves, but also do you need to do that to participate in governance, or can you still participate in governance if you stake your Agave in that contract?
Sorry, can you say again? I kind of I felt in the middle of the question.
Yeah, just back to Agave tokenomics. I was wondering if you guys have the same kind of contract where agave holders stake their agave to earn yield, and then the staked agave is kind of used as emergency reserves in the event that the system becomes under collateralized.
Yes, indeed, we do call it actually a safety module because that's similar to how Aave does it. And I don't know if you also mentioned about voting, but yes, indeed, at this moment, when we open, let's say, the vote for adding Fox as a collateral, if I have, let's say, 10 agave in staking, I can vote with that plus what's in my wallet.
Super cool. That's awesome. And yeah, I think you mentioned this earlier. Agave is using Gardens, which we've talked about a little bit. It's the same governance framework that OneHive uses, that Giveth uses. Agave is another one, and it's quickly becoming a pretty popular new governance framework, competing with definitely Aragon, but also even Snapshot and NoSoSafe. And right now, like Stanky said, it's primarily on XDAI, but very cool new innovative DAO framework, and it uses conviction voting, or it has a conviction voting model, which is different than our voting in the sense that it takes the amount of funds that you're requesting. Depending on the amount of funds you're requesting, you need to have more tokens staked or for longer. So the voting weight is calculated by the amount of tokens staked and the length of time you're staked behind it. And so if you stake, let's say 100 Fox or 100 Agave behind a proposal and just leave it staked, over time that conviction will increase. And then once you get sufficient increase based on the amount of funds you're requesting, that proposal can pass. So very interesting governance innovation. And I know it came out of like the either Giveth or Common Stack. I think Giveth helped kind of wrote the first blog post on it, and then OneHive actually built it.
Yeah,
now here we are.
In this upcoming vote for Fox, to be honest, we are going to use Snapshot because we're making some modification to our gardens. Being Agave pretty complicated as a protocol, we did have the problem that user had to wrap or unwrap tokens before the votes would happen, but not always people do actually read. So imagine the situation in which everyone is as the token staked, so they don't wrap them before the votes, then there is not enough people to actually vote and reach the consensus. So we are actually asking people at Gardens to work on this. It's a pretty complicated issue, and we're actually the first one having this kind of issue. So we are, for the last votes, we did use Snapshot, which is actually extremely easy, but Gardens is definitely a very cool tool and feature that our DAO is pretty proud to have.
Yeah, well said. That's cool that you guys are working with OneHive team to build out new features for all Gardens users. So you mentioned earlier that you are responsible for paying a lot of the contributors. I'm curious how that looks at Agave. How do you guys go from a Gardens proposal to actually paying individual contributors? What does that look like?
Yeah, that's kind of a very straightforward process. Basically, the way it is working for Agave slightly differently than OneHive, but basically what happens is that, let's say there is a community member that is a designer. We do have a few designers, so I'm just talking, for instance, about a designer, and he wants to create some content. Now, just creating content for the sake of doing it does not grant you any payment, because sometimes there is no need for some content to be created. But of course, it does put you in the eyes of us that maybe we might need people. Then in case, let's say, I asked a designer to just make the banner for this AMA, right? That was made by one of our designers. So I do ask one of them, and I try to give a bit of work to everyone. Basically, the guy does the job, and in the week that he made the job, I take every week, I take some time at the end of the week, and I make an average price of the Agave token within the week. So say that the average price is $100 on Monday. So the first day of the week after, he's going to get paid with our marketing funds. The amount that they get paid depends on the work that is being done. So there is a variety of possibilities, but let's say an article can give just random numbers. It could be $25 per minute of reading, or a simple banner could be $15, or a GIF could be, I don't know, $20, $30, $40, right? So the amount of dollars, of course, then it's paid in Agave. So this is kind of an incentive for people to gain more Agave, not sell it, stake it, and then eventually we do have more people that are contributing to the community. This has been working quite well, especially since we are adopting this way of just having a average weight, so that people that do the job when the price is high are going to get a certain amount. They cannot ask to have more because the price went down and stuff like that, right? So we kind of keep it like that. And whoever is interested in contributing can do it in several ways, right? I mean, there are, of course, higher payments for developers. I think we were looking for some dev position, but yeah, if you have any skill and you want to participate, just head on the Agave Discord. There is people that know more than me about that. And we have writers, we have content creators, and basically everyone that does something gets something.
I love that. I always say, if you're contributing meaningfully to a DAO and you're not getting rewarded, then the DAO is doing something wrong. So
Right.
love that you guys have this and that you really focus on rewarding all of the contributors and making sure that all community members have an opportunity to contribute. Super important. And how would you say that's working? So am I hearing that you guys only pay out in Agave tokens right now? No stablecoin payments?
Yeah, well, we don't really have reserves, I think, or maybe we do, but not something that we're spending in this month. We don't really have a lot of stablecoin reserve. We have a pretty big reserve in Ethereum. We have that, but that's actually in our LP, so it is actually giving us revenues continuously. How is it working? I would say that the price in the last months, as the lower the price gets, the harder it is to have contributors working. Not because they do not want to do, but because, of course, our supply is limited, so we don't have possibility to just say, okay, we're just going to mint more so we can give more to people. So to have, let's say, a banner that gets paid, let's say, $20, and the price is $90 in this moment, we actually do think that the token is extremely undervalued in this moment. There has been a few reasons for the undervaluation of the token, but if the price would be $200-300, which could be already a more fair, let's say, valuation for the price of the token, then the amount the contributor would be paid would be different, right? So when the price is going as low as it's going now, we actually probably produce a bit less content, not because there is less to do, but just because probably there is also the need to save and not create too much selling pressure on the token. Yeah. Generally, it is working very well because lots of contributors are actually participating, and there is going to be more when there is more to do, right? If we have need for videos, or we have editors, or we have articles coming out, there is more, and everyone that does basically gets paid on a weekly basis. So for instance, this week it was not that busy, so we only have a few banners, and that's it actually. So on Monday, my work of payment is not going to take too long.
Very interesting. Yeah, we were in a similar position when we first launched the ShapeShift DAO, and I think you're totally right. Like when people are happy to get paid in tokens, when token price is going up, everyone's stoked. If token price is going down, people might get a little upset about getting paid in tokens, and I think we definitely saw a little bit of that at ShapeShift. And early on, we were in a similar position when we launched the DAO, where we had just a lot of Fox in the treasury, nothing else. And so initially we were paying out in Fox, and we had some creative ways to reimburse people if the Fox price went down after, because it takes us about 6 days to go from transferring funds from mainnet Gnosis Safe over to Colony on XDAI or Gnosis Chain. And obviously Fox price can move a bit over that period. So we then, now at this point, we default to paying in stablecoins now that we have some stablecoins in our reserves. But you still can opt into getting paid in Fox, but we only pay in Fox if you've opted into it. And that's working pretty well. But yeah, something that could work for you guys too. In the meantime, once Agave is supported on Agave, one thing we did was we used Rari to deposit some Fox as collateral and take out a stablecoin loan. So we could pay in stablecoins before we had sufficient reserves to do it ourselves.
Right. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. Cool. So speaking of this like treasury diversification and stuff, right now, ShapeShift, we have a goal of acquiring at least $10 million of stablecoin reserves by June to prepare for a hypothetical 18-month bear market, make sure we have enough runway to keep building and growing without adding any sell pressure to Fox. What's y'all's view on treasury diversification in a hypothetical upcoming bear market?
Yeah, so two things about treasury. One of the first thing is actually pretty interesting is one, actually we already had this with Xion, another project that is both on BSC and on Gnosis. Communities, actually one of our hopes as Agave grows is that communities, regardless of the fact that their token is or is not on the platform, they might want to get a yield because of the triple layer of rewards that we can offer. They might want to deposit some of their treasuries on the platform. I don't know if this still happened, but we did have an AMA with Xion that they were announcing that they would be doing that. I am not sure 100% if they actually did it because I was not on top of that AMA back then. But that was something pretty cool for us to have, right? Projects that are interested in earning through our platform, regardless of the fact that their token is or is not on the platform. About our treasuries in this moment, I know also OneHive is working quite hard on building a stronger treasury, also to not have an impact on the token price. In this moment, our treasury is mostly in Ethereum. We do have some in XDAI, if I'm not mistaken, and because we had some developers that wanted to get paid in XDAI, doing some bounty work. But number-wise and how we are developing that, I don't think I'm the right person to give an answer, because actually I am not totally aware of how we're handling the situation.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, we'll see how this goes, right? No one knows when or if this bear market will strike. So yeah, we're just doing our best to potentially prepare for it. But the most important thing too is just to have a strong, committed community. As long as you have that, you can survive any bear market.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So what are your thoughts on Agave's multi-chain future? Are you pretty focused on Gnosis chain at the moment, or are you planning on expanding to any other chains anytime soon?
Yeah, at the moment we are definitely focused on Gnosis. As I said, we were really expanding on Arbitrum, and me and Monstrance, actually, we were already talking to a few also social channels and YouTubers to actually export the product and really make it more noticeable. But then, because of Arbitrum and because of issues and because of the fact that our community, I don't know if you have that with Fox communities, but our community really likes the transaction fees here. So to go from 0.001 to $4 to vote on adding, let's say, Fox to Agave, it's a big deal. So we did have ideas. We actually have an NFT project named Alvin, and that was already deployed on Arbitrum, but we did notice that people were not really interested so much in Arbitrum. The whole OneHive actually was ready to move, also for security reasons, but then that did not happen. So OneHive stopped, I think, completely plans of moving, and actually, I think that for Agave there is no plan on going to Arbitrum. At this moment, we are not looking for others, just because we are really focused on Gnosis, and we actually think that Gnosis is actually really has a huge potential. And we were looking at stats, and it is growing, and we know that there is interest from many big projects to come on Gnosis. And sometimes you just need one big name that comes, and then the whole ecosystem thrives enormously. So we do think that there is a very high chance, or at least a good chance, for Gnosis to shine at least in the end of this bull market.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I think XDAI was one of the first side chains to Ethereum, and it's, I think, just historically been incredibly underrated. They haven't done the best job, no offense to anyone, but with all due respect, of marketing themselves. They've just been focused on building, whereas some of these other layer twos have really focused on marketing, and that's paid off for them. But I am bullish that with this merger with Gnosis Chain and the focus on kind of branding Gnosis Chain as the chain for DAOs, that we are going to, just like you said, see some big projects make the move over there and see kind of an inflection point where Gnosis Chain really starts to take off. So I think that makes sense for you guys to focus over there.
Yeah, 1inch just came, I think, last week, and there is names for other big projects to come. So eventually, I think that, for instance, Polygon exploded because of two things, basically, Aavegotchi and Aave, right? And maybe I'm not right, but that was my understanding of that, right? So, or also other L2 and side chains, they really exploded for maybe just announcing that there would be massive liquidity incentives, and the whole ecosystem thrived not for an intrinsic quality of the better quality of the project. So we are definitely underrated, and in this moment Agave is the only lending platform. There is actually a side project from Sushi, but it's not really doing much on Gnosis chain. So we are in this ecosystem as, in this moment, the only lending platform. So that's actually very exciting for us to focus here, because even when other competition is going to come and we're going to welcome it, it's actually very interesting for us to be the first one here.
Absolutely, and I'm excited for Fox to be one of the first tokens listed on Agave, and
Definitely.
so our holders will be able to borrow and lend for very, very low fees. So are you familiar, Stonky, with like ShapeShift's new direction as a DAO? Have you seen the new app.shapeshift.com that we launched a week ago?
I have checked a few things. I actually have also one question that, before I forget, I would like to ask. I
Please.
don't know if the community member that did write me about that is around, but one of the questions that I wanted you to ask was, ShapeShift is having more, as far as I understand, please correct me, more liquidity coming over Gnosis. And you guys have plans to actually also, you have plans of cross-chain to go on other chains, or actually to focus on Gnosis and bring even more liquidity over here? So how are actually your plans for Gnosis chain? It's actually equally interesting for us.
Yeah, ultimately, this is all up to the community of Fox token holders. So far, we have Fox on mainnet, we have Fox on Gnosis chain, and we have Fox on Polygon. Possibly some other places, but that's where the majority of the liquidity is right now, with the majority still on mainnet. I think we're definitely interested in Fox continuing to expand to all the chains, including Cosmos. I don't know if you saw, but we have a proposal up right now to develop Fox chain, which will be a Cosmos zone that will use IBC Fox Bridge for mainnet as the native asset. But I think we definitely, I personally, speaking from my own perspective, definitely have a Gnosis chain has a special place in my heart, and I am pretty bullish on it. We also are pretty invested in it in the sense that right now all of our contributors get paid on Gnosis chain via Colony. So due to that, I think we are, we do have a particular focus on Gnosis chain and a particular interest in seeing it be successful and seeing more Fox liquidity over there.
Lovely, nice.
So yeah, you've seen the new ShapeShift? Are you familiar? I'm wondering, like, we have about 11 minutes left. I want to make sure we talk about a potential future ShapeShift and Agave integration.
Sure. I have checked a few the app. I am not actually, I did not spend enough time. Actually, there was more monstrous expertise. But actually, I'm sure there is some Agave community in the audience that would like actually an introduction to that. So better than what I can say, I'm sure you can introduce it better. I'm actually in this moment also on the website, and it actually looks fantastic. So
thanks for checking it out. Yeah, I really
of
appreciate it.
course.
And we're just getting started. We just launched this a week ago. It's our MLP, our minimum lovable product, and kind of the vision for app.shapeshift.com. Right now, it supports Bitcoin and Ethereum. We are adding all the chains we can, and especially we have high on our roadmap to support these other EVM networks like Gnosis Chain. We have some mockups also for integrating lending and borrowing protocols. So in addition to supporting chains, the new ShapeShift is an interface to all the applications and protocols on these chains. So we aggregate things like lending protocols, yield generating protocols. Eventually, we'll be looking at bonding protocols, really all of these DeFi protocols and other, even NFT protocols that users care about. We want to provide a free, open source, community owned, and soon decentralized interface for users to access all these amazing applications. So we put together some mockups for borrowing and lending in ShapeShift and how we would aggregate various protocols. And they're pretty slick. Would love to set up some time with the Agave team to run you guys through these mockups and get your feedback on them. But yeah, I really hope that one day we can give ShapeShift users the opportunity to lend and borrow on Agave, and furthermore, just have even just all of the lending opportunities, all the opportunities to deposit collateral and earn yield showing up right alongside the earning opportunities that we currently have in app.shapeshift.com.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks for linking it. Yeah.
You bet. All right, we got 9 minutes left. Do anyone in the audience, if you guys have questions, please post them or raise your hands. I see we've got one from Guts. This is a simple question. Guts is from Mexico, and tequila is made from the agave plant. Does tequila have anything to do with the name of your project?
Well, I mean, I would say it does not, but definitely what I would say is that the first name was agave, right? So agave, but with double A, and just to really be like a name of the plant, but also really having a hint of ave. Then we decided to not have that, so the name actually developed in agave, and I think it sounds also better and it's a bit more independent. But I do want to say that actually we are very in a very good relationship with the Aave team. I don't think that there is anything in particular, but actually, if you have been looking at One Hive's products, we have One Hive, we have gardens, we have the farming was tulip. So there is a lot of thematic themes around nature about names of One Hive's products. So there is and there is more. There is, as I said already, gardens. Marketing is called buzz. So you have this kind of idea of to give a theme to projects that all around the same name.
That's super interesting. I really like the agave branding. Thanks for asking that question, Guts. And yeah, actually, when I first heard about Aave was at ETH Denver, and I thought it was really bad branding. I'm like, AAVE, like how do you pronounce this? And their logo, it looked like the Snapchat ghost. I'm like, what? But boy, was I wrong. I love Aave too. But hopefully we'll be able to get into Rave. They always have these parties at Ethereum events, and they're very hard to get into. They tend to be some of the most exclusive, coolest parties. One day I'll get into Rave. You ever made it into Rave, Stunky?
No, not really.
Maybe we'll do a Ragave or Agave.
Yeah.
Stunky, do you have any questions for me or for ShapeShift community?
I just would like to make sure that the community is aware of what we're actually our intention with you guys as a community. So and also as a sort of planning. Again, this is not necessarily set in stone, but our idea would be to have actually this first AMA and then to have the vote as soon as let's say next Monday. Okay, it could be Sunday, it could be Tuesday. So don't give it for granted, but very soon, because we don't really need to waste time. And everyone that is an Agave holder, or if you're not and you're interested, actually this is probably one of the best time to enter because the price is pretty stagnant and low in this moment. So it could be a good buy. You can actually participate in the vote. It's going to be through snapshots. So as soon as the vote has been started, if you hold Agave before, you can actually vote. Because we are not using gardens, we do not need to reach a certain consensus. So we do not need to reach a certain threshold. So this is more of a vote about what the community wants. Do they want it or not? So a 51% would be enough to get a Fox added. But of course, we do hope that the whole community is very excited about it. So our idea would be that devs and seeds are not going to vote, but maybe and probably they will, but we would actually like the community to really vote and express. We actually do prefer to have 200 votes of one agave rather than one big holder voting with 200 agave, right? So we really see the feedback of the community. And as soon as that passes, we are going to deploy in the upcoming days, depending of how busy are the devs. We're going to deploy and announce the fact that Fox would be eventually added as a collateral. And from that moment, you can actually deposit. As I said, the incentives and liquidity incentives have to be discussed, and they can be actually renegotiated. So the first month could be higher or lower than the second month, and the third month, and so forth and so on. So this is actually something that I believe is pretty interesting, because we can decide along the way if things can be more interesting, and we can actually stimulate more the community to deposit Fox. But you are also going to get the triple rewards if you are a Fox holder and you don't actually deposit Fox, but you can deposit the other assets. It's not matter which asset you're depositing, you can earn immediately this triple layer of reward. So I hope it does make sense. I have linked an article that explains how our rewards working in this moment. So, but of course, if you have questions, feel free to ask here or on our Discord or Telegram, and we will get back as soon as possible.
That is awesome. Can't wait for being able to deposit and borrow Fox on Agave, and also getting these triple rewards. That sounds delicious. Thanks, and thanks for sharing that article, Stunky.
Me too. I'm actually a Fox holder, since you guys have more liquidity on Honeyswap. So I'm also gonna do that. I'm also gonna deposit as soon as I can.
Looking forward to it. And yeah, you guys heard it. If you have Agave, you'll be able to vote on this proposal on Snapshot coming Monday. Sounds like. How long do you guys keep your proposals up typically?
Some 3-4 days. Actually.
Got it. And then after the proposal, assuming it passes with flying colors, when could we expect to see Fox added to Agave?
Oof. Not long, actually. I don't think it's gonna take long. It's a bit of front end work, but most of the work is already laid down, because we have been adding already 2 tokens in this month, as I said, Chainlink and Gnosis. So I don't think that takes too long. I do know that our devs, we always need more people working on that side, but they are pretty busy. I don't think it would take more than a few days. Maybe we could actually decide, let's say, to wait on the coming Monday or on a specific date. I think it's probably gonna be rather easy. But yeah, I'm not a developer, so I talk without knowing how complicated it can be. Of course, if we need 1 more days, actually, the approach that we always had, we're gonna take 1 more days, or even 2, just to make sure that everything is safe and secure for everyone. So you are not gonna see things rushed up just to deliver beforehand. Actually, we do take the 1 day extra, even the critic of people, just to keep things extremely safe for everyone.
We hear you. Better safe than sorry. Roll safe. But that sounds like we could have Fox on Agave within 1 to 2 weeks. So that's very exciting.
I do think so, yes.
Can't wait. All right, we got 1 minute left. Any final thoughts you'd like to leave the community with, Stonky?
Actually, if I can, I would like to drop a few links of our Telegram and Discord, in case you want to join and actually be part also of the conversation on Agave. But for the rest, actually, I am extremely happy to that we had this AMA. Actually, I think it's a brilliant thing to have a cross AMA with the other projects, and I'm actually excited because indeed Fox is going to be the first DAO token that we're going to add. So that's actually exciting. So it's a nice moment. I think it's a very nice thing. So I'm looking forward to the votes. I was looking forward to the AMA. I'm looking forward to the votes, and I'm actually just adding a few links, our Telegram and our Discord. You probably already have our Twitter, which is Agave Lending. I'm also gonna write that. And for the rest, actually, no, I would like to thank everyone for being so kind to join us this afternoon, or morning, or evening, depending where you are. It's afternoon where I live.
It's GM, everybody. And thank you, Stonky, for those links. Definitely would love to get some cross DAO pollination going on. Thank you to all the Agave community members that joined ShapeShift Discord for this AMA. Hope you guys will stick around, and yeah, excited to build with you guys, and honored for ShapeShift to be one of